Welcome back to Richard Wool's Vault, where horsepower never dies. Richard Vault 4 here, guiding you through another blast from when steel was thick and drivers had forearms like ship anchors. Today we're diving into 1947 Ford Super Deluxe, a post-war cruiser that reminds us why modern cars forgot what muscle means. The 1947 Ford Super Deluxe has one of those amusing little backstories that proves even big automakers sometimes wing it like a student cramming the night before finals. Ford was coming off the chaos of wartime production, and when February 1947 rolled around, they basically said, "Good enough, ship it." For the first few weeks of the 47 model year, the car was almost a carbon copy of the short 1946 run. Same body, same trim, same face. They didn't even pretend otherwise. Then as the year crept forward, Ford started sneaking in changes like a magician, performing tricks mid-show. The red accents on the grille and also the two small lights above the grille were quietly retired, and the parking lights were moved from above the grille to under the headlights, giving the front end a slightly more refined look, as if the car suddenly decided to raise its eyebrows and look more attentive. Even the moldings and trim were updated as the months rolled along. It was basically Ford saying, "Listen, we'll fix it as we go." And honestly, it worked. The 47 evolved in real time, one tweak at a time. Kind of like watching a work in progress that still managed to become a classic. The Super Deluxe in 1947 didn't try to reinvent the wheel. It just cleaned it up, polished it, and gave it a slightly smug grin. Ford stuck close to the short 1946 run, which makes sense. After the war, the company was basically building cars with one hand while still wiping sweat with the other. Early 47s were practically twins to the 46 models, and Ford even started titling them in February, which feels like the automotive version of turning in homework before you've actually finished it. Then came the subtle but sharp touch-ups. The red accents on the grille? Gone. The two tiny lights perched above the grille? Also gone, like Ford quietly deciding they were more trouble than they were worth. The parking lights were relocated down below each headlight. Cleaner, simpler, like someone finally reorganized the garage. Ford smoothed out the exterior moldings too, shifting from grooves to a sleek, unbroken flow that gave the car a calmer, more confident look. They slapped on a new hood ornament with a blue plastic insert, classy in a post-war optimism but still watching the budget kind of way. And by March, a fresh hubcap design appeared, sealing the deal on the Super Deluxe's understated glow-up, a rolling reminder that refinement doesn't need to shout. This 1947 Ford didn't rely on gimmicks or turbocharged wizardry either. It showed up with two honest blue-collar power plants, the kind of engines that smell like grease, loyalty, and the occasional skin knuckle. First up was the inline 6L head, 226 cubic inches of slow-burning determination. With 90 horses at 3,300 RPM, it wasn't exactly a sprinter, but it pulled like a farm mule and complained far less. Its long 4.4-inch stroke gave it that low-end grunt, helped along by a Holley one-barrel Model 847F carburetor, quietly mixing fuel like a bartender who's been doing this since Prohibition. Four main bearings held the whole affair together, all buried inside a dependable cast-iron block, thick enough to survive a small war. Probably because most engines back then basically had. Then there was the V8L head, the crowd favorite. At 239 cubic inches, it bumped things up to a mighty 100 ponies at 3,600 RPM. Still modest, but in 1947 terms, that was practically bragging rights. Its slightly shorter stroke made it smoother, punchier, and a little more eager to rev. The Holley 2-barrel Model 94 fed it just enough fuel to keep things exciting without wasting gas like a drunken sailor. Tough, simple, and dependable, these engines were built for the long road, not the bragging rights. The drivetrain of the 47 Super Deluxe was as straightforward as a handshake from an honest mechanic. No nonsense, no surprises, just good old-fashioned mechanical grit. At the heart of it sat a 3-speed sliding mesh manual transmission, a setup that demanded a little finesse and a little patience, sort of like dancing with a partner who insists you lead and get the timing right. This wasn't some modern synchro mesh unit that quietly fixes your mistakes. Miss a shift, and it would let you know with a grinding protest loud enough to shame you into doing better. Still, when you got it right, Sliding that lever through the gates felt remarkably satisfying, the mechanical equivalent of fitting the last piece into a jigsaw puzzle. Power flowed straight down the driveline with a simplicity modern cars seemed allergic to. No computers, no sport mode, just gears, shafts, and the quiet hope you remembered to double clutch. The rear-wheel drive layout made the car predictable and steady, especially on the long American highways the Super Deluxe loved to gobble up. It delivered torque to the pavement with the same stubborn enthusiasm as a workhorse pulling a plow. And while it wasn't fast by today's standards, the drivetrain gave the 47 its true charm. Mechanical honesty, backed by a transmission that rewarded skill and punished laziness. Perfectly fitting for a machine built when drivers were expected to actually drive. The Ford Super Deluxe in 1947 rolled around on a chassis that didn't bother with gimmicks or engineering acrobatics. It rode on an X-frame, a sturdy, no-frills backbone that looked like it was welded together by someone who believed steel should feel like steel, not recycled soda cans. This thing was rigid, tough, and about as subtle as a sledgehammer, just the way post-war America liked it. Up front, Ford kept things simple with a solid front axle which was supported by transverse semi-elliptical leaf springs. That setup wasn't designed for carving corners. It was designed to survive potholes, dirt roads, and the occasional farmer deciding the road is good enough. Think of it like a front end built for stubbornness rather than grace. You weren't gliding, you were conquering. Out back, the live rear axle with matching transverse leaf springs kept the whole machine planted and predictable. It didn't fuss, didn't overthink, and definitely didn't care about your comfort on rough terrain. It just kept hauling mile after mile the same way a dependable old ranch horse keeps trotting even when you're bouncing around in the saddle. Altogether, the Super Deluxe's chassis and suspension delivered a ride that was durable, consistent, and charmingly old school. It reminded drivers that road feel used to mean feeling the road, bumps and all. The interior of this 1947 classic felt like stepping into a rolling time capsule from an era when style still had a pulse. Ford leaned hard into the Art Deco vibe, giving the cabin a flair that looked like it belonged in a jazz club rather than a family car. You got broadcloth or leather bench seats, big comfy slabs of tuck and roll elegance that made you feel like the car wanted you to stay a while. It didn't hug you so much as politely encourage you not to fall out. Up front sat a metal dashboard dressed with chrome and machined aluminum knobs, each one satisfying to twist in that old school clicky kind of way. The gauges came in both round and rectangular shapes, as if the designers couldn't decide on one theme and just shrugged it and said, why not both? The large black steering wheel with its chrome horn ring looked ready to captain a ship, not steer a sedan, but that's part of its charm. Technology was simple but gutsy. The famous flathead V8, a 3-speed manual, hydraulic brakes, and the high-end luxury of an optional heater and radio, because sometimes you wanted music and warmth without lighting the engine bay on fire. Add in simple door handles, easy window levers, a tight headliner, and pop-out rear windows in some coupes, and the Super Deluxe delivered comfort in the same modest, confident way people did back then. No flash, no fuss, just solid craftsmanship. Ford kept things in the back of the Super Deluxe simple in 1947 with an open differential. Basic, honest, and about as fancy as black coffee at a truck stop. Paired with a live rear axle, it did its job without bragging, letting the wheels turn at different speeds so you didn't skid around corners like a runaway wheelbarrow. But if you wanted to get spicy, Ford offered the optional 2-speed Columbia rear differential. This setup gave you an extra gear range, making the car feel almost sophisticated, like it suddenly learned a second language. Either way, the Super Deluxe's rear end kept the ride smooth, steady, and perfectly old school. But Ford, with the Super Deluxe, wasn't shy about taking up space either. At 198.2 inches long, this car had the same road presence as a fully grown buffalo strolling across a prairie highway, slow, wide, and undeniably in charge. With a width of 73.3 inches, it offered enough shoulder room to keep elbows from starting fistfights even on long trips. At 65.8 inches tall, it wasn't trying to be sleek. It was trying to give you enough headroom so you didn't have to slouch like you owed the ceiling money. Its 114-inch wheelbase kept the ride stable and comfortable. Think of it like the long stride of a seasoned cowboy, smooth, steady, and unbothered by bumps along the way. The extra length didn't make it fast, but it made it predictable, which is exactly what you wanted from a post-war cruiser built for unpredictable roads. Now the curb weight, 4,150 pounds, meant the Super Deluxe had the mass of a small moon. Once it got rolling, momentum became your best friend and worst enemy. Stopping felt like negotiating with a stubborn ox. Possible, but only if you planned ahead. Still, the weight gave it a planted, confident feel, reminding drivers from the very first turn of the key that this Ford wasn't built for dainty maneuvering. It was built to glide, lumber, and own the asphalt. The Ford Super Deluxe carried its strengths the way an old ranch hand carries his tools. Nothing flashy, but reliable enough to trust your day on. One of its biggest strengths was durability. This was a car you could drive through a dust storm, hose off, and it would still start the next morning like nothing happened. The cast iron engines were stubbornly tough, the kind of power plants that would rather cough a little than quit outright. Its chassis was built like a steel backbone. The simple suspension meant fewer parts to break and fewer headaches to fix. The interior was roomy, comfortable, and charming in that grandma's living room from the 40s way. Soft, warm, and surprisingly welcoming. But the Super Deluxe wasn't perfect. Its weight made acceleration more of a suggestion than a command. Ask it to hurry, and it responded like a farmer reluctantly putting down his coffee. It'll move, just don't rush it. The handling wasn't going to win any awards either. The solid axles made the ride sturdy, but not exactly nimble. You felt every bump like a truth you didn't want to face, and its technology was bare bones, even for its time, offering just enough convenience to avoid feeling primitive. Still, these quirks are part of its charm. The 47 Super Deluxe wasn't trying to impress. It was trying to endure, and it succeeded beautifully. The 1947 Ford Super Deluxe stands as one of those machines that doesn't beg for attention, it earns it. It's the kind of car that rumbles through history with the confidence of a seasoned old-timer who's seen enough to know what matters. Strength, simplicity, and a little style for the road ahead. It doesn't need fancy electronics, flashing screens, or 50 driving modes. It already knows what it is. A rolling monument to post-war grit and American steel, built when a craftsmanship still meant something and cars were meant to be driven, not babysat. From its tough-as-nails chassis to its dependable flathead engines, from the Art Deco interior to the stubborn but satisfying 3-speed manual, the Super Deluxe proves that old school isn't an insult, it's a compliment. This car isn't just transportation, it's a time machine with chrome trim, ready to carry you back to a world where drivers had to earn their stripes and every mile was a handshake with history. So here's the real question. If Ford built something like this today, heavy, honest, and unafraid, would you drive it, or have we all gone soft? Drop your answers in the comments because I'm genuinely curious where the crowd stands. If you enjoyed this ride, hit that like button, subscribe for more vintage deep dives, and as always, keep it loud, keep it classic.